So, true story. My wife, Mrs. Carnal's having trouble putting the baby to sleep. So, I'm going to see if I can get through making this video for you where we're just going to reply guy. Vaush's video, they want to literally ban contraception, which would be based, which would be absolutely based. I support this supposition because it's not good for you, humanity, just full stop. But I'm not expecting Vosh to have a normal and healthy take on this. So let's just see what Voshy Poo has to say and take it from there, shall we? Let's just have some fun with this, guys. I don't know if I'm gonna make it the full 20 minutes, but let's just let's let's just see how long I last before my first interruption.
Good morning, everyone. And I say that because I'm recording this at 4 a.m. Because I felt I had to. I didn't expect to be recording anything today, which is why,
At
obviously my hair and my beard are suboptimally, positioned right now. Of course I'm not wearing pants. Also, I'm wearing this shirt. I don't like wearing this shirt when I'm streaming. It makes me feel like I'm a little sailor boy,
yeah, you look like a
like
faggot.
I don't know. This is besides the point.
It,
Look,
it, it
okay?
makes you look like what you are, a champagne socialist. I mean, of course you don't like the look. It's a little too revealing. You may as well be naked, fucker. But, I'm sorry.
Just a
40
few days
seconds. 40 seconds before I had to reply, guy.
ago, in the wake of the bombshell report from Politico, the leak of the draft Supreme Court opinion showing they intended to overturn Roe v.
Uh-huh.
Wade, in addition to yeah, some other stuff.
Wait,
I
wait.
said that
I know this is a little too fast for y'all, but I hate this bait and switch. I really loathe that as a tactic because they do it all the time. They want to repeal Roe v. Wade and stuff. As if you're supposed to fill in the blank as to what the other stuff is rather than, critically question what is the other stuff. This is what conservatives have had to do with their news intake until Fox News came on the scene. Conservatives were always asking the questions, okay, um, we're watching the story, you're clearly not telling us all of it, what about these other factors? And it wasn't until Fox News came and said, hey, there are other factors here, and then everyone went, I knew it, let's watch them because they're not fucking lying to us by omission. But let's continue.
that overturning Roe v. Wade is just the beginning. The goal of Republicans in this instance is to maximize the suffering of as many people as possible.
Holy shit. Okay, no. We're okay. Not letting you kill life is maximizing suffering. Okay, if that is the definition, I am down. Let's maximize that suffering, boys.
And they're going to be going after contraception like that. And you know what? I'm never wrong, but I was wrong about one thing here, and it was the speed with which they would make that turn. Here you have McConnell saying a national abortion ban. So
Not
this would
contraceptive, but please do continue. Abortion is not contraception. Just need to make that clear. It's not preventing pregnancy, it's terminating the unborn. Not contraception, but please continue.
mean nobody can get an abortion, not even leave it up to the states. So much for leave it up to the states.
That
Nobody
is
can.
possible,
But
not
then we have
feasible, but
this.
okay.
Breaking Arizona GOP Senate candidate calls for condoms to be banned in all states.
That's interesting. This is news. What's their name? GOP Senate. Oh, a candidate calls for condoms to be banned in all states. Okay, so this isn't someone who's actually elected yet. Okay.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, Marsha Blackburn, U.S. Senator, has proposed a plan wherein birth control should only be legal for married couples.
Based!
Brilliant
It
stuff there,
is.
right? Birth control should only be legal for married
Indeed.
couples. Ban all condoms. These are the political prescriptions of the utterly deranged. You have to be psychotic to propose these things.
Or alternatively, what the Democrats would prefer is a eugenicist, alternatively. Because what you could have, instead of, keeping birth control between the sexually relevant in society, which is married couples who have made themselves a social and economic a social and economic unit, respectively, and they have said, well, because we've taken on the responsibility of reproduction in society, we should have the exclusive rights to it. This actually makes sense, uh, unless you want to use birth control to eliminate certain sections of the population, unless you want to assume that these other segments need to be taken care of. Depends on how you want to view the world.
Nobody stands to benefit from them. The banning of contraception would cause a greater need for abortions. People have always said, well, if they care so much about preventing abortion, why don't they support free and easy access to sex ed and contraceptives?
Because they don't work, you piece of shit, as Thomas Sowell has brilliantly pointed out. The introduction of sex ed has not led to a reduction in birth rates or pregnancy rates. It just hasn't. It doesn't work. Why are you giving me more of the same failed bullshit? But continue.
Both of which reduce unwanted pregnancies. And
Why are you lying, you piece of shit? Once again, it doesn't reduce shit.
the reason for that is because they want you to suffer. Listen, I don't want to sound like a broken record on this, okay? They're just evil. They're fundamentally evil. They're the only reason they care about holding political power is because it allows them to inflict misery on groups of people they don't like, which in their case
Oh my god. It's the meme guys. They are whatever they accuse you of right in front of us right now. Okay, explain to me, what about conservative philosophy would necessitate inflicting misery on other people? Can anyone answer that question for me? Because we know how the communists and the Nazis did their bullshit. They weren't conservatives, they were on the left. National Socialism. The literal controlled economies. One advanced through war, the other one through. Well, you don't know what Russia did other than, famines and gulags and all that other wonderful stuff. But there's nothing about right-wing philosophy that necessitates suffering. In fact, we try to alleviate it as much as humanly possible. And when we get to the humanly part, the outer edges of that, we stop and say, no, we might become one of those left-tard a-holes. But continuing on, but this is the meme. They're trying to make you into what they are.
I imagine is pretty much all of them. These are these are not human beings. They're demons wearing
Oh
human.
my god. Did Vaush just go full Alex Jones? Like, I'm dead serious. The demons are after us. He seriously has done this. My god. Okay, guys, this is the first time I'm watching the Vaush video, like, for my own, like, benefit, I guess. So, this is new for your Carnal, okay? So, let's continue.
Flesh. You know, sociology and sociological analysis are very useful for telling us why things are the way they are, why people are the way they are to an extent, what environmental influences. Bring people to the positions they're at. And I feel like we've kind of recognized that as a
I'm
culture.
sorry, guys. The ad popped up, and I didn't want to put you through that, so I just kind of cut it out on my own. So if that happens again, you know what's happening. I'll fast forward through it for you.
Because we're increasingly interested in stories where people who do bad things have reasons for doing those bad things. 100 years ago in those movie serials or whatever, the villain, the mustache twirling villain who ties dames up to the railroad tracks so the hero has to untie them and he can make his way out with the bank gold or whatever. Nobody cared why he did that. Nobody wanted to hear about his poor relationship with his mother or whatever.
Okay.
The increased fascination in the psyche of people who do wrong. I think it's reflective of a greater, I don't know, complexity of thought in the average person, at least when it comes to stuff like this or how it's reflected in media. The issue is, and this is the thing that bothers me, okay? An explanation for why someone is the way they are is not the same as a justification for it. A lot of people, mostly liberals, but a lot of
Well, let
people,
me translate this for you. I, Vaush, am going to justify why I'm a piece of shit human being while pretending to explain that I'm explaining my opponent's rationale. You see how that works, folks? Let's continue on with this. Should be great.
make the mistake of assuming that their opposition thinks the same way they do on a fundamental level,
Oh no, we think completely differently on a fundamental level. You and I can agree on that much. I mean, for fuck's sake, you people are brainwashed. You have forgotten what it means to be human. That's why we're in the shit mess we're in today. But go on.
Like a lot of people make the mistake of analyzing conservative politics from a framework of rationality, Modern conservative.
No, you try to understand conservative positions through a purely empathetic and psychotically induced formula of Marxist praxis, which is inhuman and destructive on virtually all levels, and you think that the conservatives beholden to adopt your positions, which we're not at all. Because it's bullshit, mostly.
Politics. They're like, well, why would they do this? It must be beneficial in some way. Maybe if you had a different value set, their opposition to these proposals would be useful. Why do they oppose?
You see, if leftists actually thought this way, there's a chance we might actually come to an understanding. What Vosh is pretending is that his audience has this capability and then gifting it to them as if to say, oh, you've gone through this process. You have given them the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to explain to you why your generosity didn't work. This is bullshit. Leftists don't think this way. If they did, they wouldn't be leftists anymore.
Healthcare reform? Why do they do this, even though it seems to be so harmful? Well, there must be a reason. The reason is because they hate you. That's the reason.
I'm serious, guys. The level of projection here is obscene. Continuing on.
You know, I think this is going to become increasingly apparent with time, and I don't know how much of this is an advantage for us versus a disadvantage, because on one hand, the more unfettered hatred they have to express, the more we all suffer for it. But, stuff like this is very, I don't know how you want to put it, mask off. I mean, just like imagine pitching this to the public. Imagine the
Imagine
American.
thinking this is controversial. Imagine being so detached from what normal is that you think this is obscene. How detached from reality do you have to be to consider this to be crude or immoral? If this shouldn't have been a thing, then marriage itself shouldn't have been a thing. If birth control wasn't intended for the primary use of married couples, what is the point of married couples? I mean, really, think that this is not difficult.
People not being able to buy condoms, right? Like imagine that ban going through. I mean, what is that? What would that
Now,
even?
he's taking a proposal from a GOP candidate who is not yet elected into actual office. We're talking fringe of fringe here in terms of political power and actual influence. So, uh, again, this is blown way out of proportion. This is not Liz of TikTok pointing out what actual teachers are saying in actual classrooms. Okay, this may as well, in political relevance, be someone with a sign on literal cardboard saying, the aliens are here.
Look like, right? What does this make the Republican Party look
Normal.
like? This isn't just any old nobody, by the
Okay.
way. This Senate candidate in Arizona, the runner-up to the mainline Republican candidate,
A
Blake.
runner up. A runner up. So, a candidate who's in second place, to be clear, within the Republican primary. So let's see if I got that right.
Masters is given, you can guess it, $10 million from Peter Thiel, right? This dipshit, big tech, billionaire guy, huge asshole, going up against Mark Kelly. I don't think that this Blake Masters guy is going to win the Republican primary, but if he did, it's not
Rip
impossible
that
that
out
he
of your
takes
bag.
out Mark Kelly in, come November. In which case, we have, what do you want to call him? Openly anti-condom.
Okay, so I was right. This guy isn't even in a general election. This is a primary runoff election. A nobody in the political sphere, and he's trying to build up oh, he's a runner up. He's not even up for office yet. He's not even near getting to. Okay, this is this is literally a primary run within Republicans. So whether or not this is mainstream in the Republican Party has yet to be seen. I doubt that it is, because I'm the ultra conservative. The fact that I think this is normal or that's the way this should be is not reflective of the GOP. Everyone knows that. Let's not be ridiculous.
Senator, one of the most powerful people in the country,
Bullshit.
and this bullshit. Birth control should only be legal for married couples. That's
It's not
weird.
weird.
If you're encouraging births within a marriage, wouldn't you want? Aren't married couples the ones you would want using the least birth control? And
No, dipshit. Married couples are the ones who should have primary access to the birth control because they are the social and economic unit of society. That's how that works. Just to be clear. Just because we want them breeding doesn't mean they're always going to want to. And that's okay, as long as we admit that they are the primary reproductive unit in society, and everyone else should be keeping their hands off themselves, as Low are the chances there is of that.
Everyone.
We apologize for this commercial break. I didn't feel like pausing it again. But c'est la vie, c'est la vie. Here we go. Da-da-dum.
Well, again, you're thinking rationally now. And that's the issue. The issue, again,
Now, you're thinking like a leftist. You're not thinking rationally. You're thinking from an echo chamber. But go on.
is that they're evil. They really are. I don't know what else to say, you know. The bounds of my analysis here are really limited by the scriptures of YouTube terms of service. These are the logic behind.
You guys can't see me, but I am face palming in front of my. I'm doing the Picard, hand, head in hand, because I cannot imagine a leftist bread tuber complaining about the scripture of YouTube terms and community service. Are you kidding me? You champagne socialist pussy. You of all people to be complaining about being censored online. My God.
The governance of these people is indistinguishable from the like you know that like weird like absolute empathetic disconnect you get when you hear about some serial killer on the news who like kills 20 people in some horrible way, or you're reading up on like the what the Japanese did in China back in the 1930s, and you're like, how do people do this? How are humans capable of this? Well, I gotta tell you, and I'm really sorry to say, whatever sociological circumstances drive people to that position mentally where they're capable of doing that, it's not that uncommon. And sometimes you do it, through serial killing or ritualistic murder, or by acting with essentially zero supervision under an imperial army that's basically been given free rein to rape and pillage and torture. And sometimes, as is the case here, you're an incredibly powerful politician, and your methods for inflicting mass suffering are marginally more subtle. But morally, I really don't think they're in that different of categories. What's that term?
This is the saddest level of self-projection I've ever witnessed. Like, there's a part of Vaush right now that is emotionally masturbating to the idea of being this runner-up conservative GOP congressperson in Arizona who has a smidgen of a chance of actually holding public office. And he's like, I want to cause that misery. I want to start making the gulags. I wish that was me right now. Except instead of limiting all abortions, I'd just be Margaret Sanger Part 2. Oh my God, that'd be great. He's fantasizing about this bullshit. That is how twisted this guy is.
Social murder? Social murder. I'm using that term right.
Social
Hold
murder.
on. Social
Please look
murder.
that up
Let me see
for
if I
us.
have that right. Coined by Engels. Oh, how did I not know that was coined by Engels? I must have known that in some way.
He's quoting Engels.
A phrase used by Engels, whereby the class which at present holds social and political control, i.e. the bourgeois, I guess that, places hundreds of proletarians in such a position that they inevitably meet a too early and unnatural death.
Now, explain to me how refraining birth control causes an early death. I mean, the men don't die, certainly. The women have a chance of dying, but in our modern society where fetuses are viable younger and younger, and the surgery and the procedures to deliver a child are incredibly sophisticated, the death rate of that is negligible. So how exactly is withholding birth control from those who are not married social murder? I'm actually really curious, but let's actually read this. When one individual in when one individual inflicts bodily injury upon another, such that death results, we call the deed manslaughter. When the assailant knew in advance the injury would be fatal, we call his deed murder. But when society places hundreds of proletariats in the position that they inevitably meet a too early and an unnatural death, one which is quite as much a death by violence as that by the sword or bullet, when it deprives thousands of the necessities of life, places them under conditions in which they cannot live, forces them, through the strong arm of the law, to remain in such conditions until that death ensues, which is inevitable consequence. Notice that these thousands of victims must perish. Holy fuck, you've just described abortion. You have literally just described abortion. Well done. Well done. I mean, you have literally debunked abortion. Because if we keep it legal, thousands upon thousands, up to the millions of unborn children will lose their lives. How many children are going to die banning birth control or condoms from people who aren't married? So, we have a case of actual murder, and we're comparing it to an abstract philosophical social murder coined by Engels, which, by the way, is supposed to be in the context of people working in conditions like coal mines, not people being denied contraceptive. Because Marx and Engels did not live in a time where contraceptive was, available en masse. So we know that when Engels talks about social murder, he is not talking about a lack of being able to access contraceptive. So, how many points did I debunk in the future Vaush video? Let's check.
Very important concept, If a person walks into a mall and guns down 20 people, it's a mass shooting. That person's going to hang, or at least spend the rest of their life in jail. It's pretty simple, morally. But if you're a Republican and you block healthcare reform that would benefit literally everyone, I mean,
abortion doesn't save a single life. Not a single one. I mean, you can literally count on one hand per year the amount of abortions performed to save the life of a mother. Literally, I'm not exaggerating. Go look at the statistics. Go look for any year in abortion for the ones that have been monitored and surveyed. How many can you count? That were used specifically for the saving of the mother's life? It is less than what you can count on your hands per year. So, and by the way, those abortions would still be allowed if Roe v. Wade is struck down. So, whatever he's going to sell you is absolute shit.
No one loses out on this. Like, even the pharma, healthcare industry, insurance companies, whatever, they're doing fine, and tens of thousands of people die. Well, that's social murder. Nobody goes to jail for that. Or at least you have to do a really bad job of engaging in social murder to go to jail for that. I'm glad I got that term correct, even though
you grossly misrepresented, not having health care and having access to condoms with literally working in a goddamn coal mine. I mean, it's all the same thing, right?
4:20 a.m. Nice. I have a stream in less than 9 hours. Look, buy guns. No. We'll do.
I support this message from Vaush. Buy firearms, buy lots of firearms. Keep your powder dry and keep your grouping tight.
Sure, feel free to if you want. There's a lot of this going on right now. All this anti-trans and gay stuff. Um,
My last video was literally a justification of all that rage. Go check it out. You won't be sorry.
you've got that Louisiana bill where they're going to charge women who have abortions for murder.
Based.
Oh, in the language of that bill, people are saying that they might charge women with murder for getting an IUD. What's an intrauterine device? I think that form of contraception. There's no logic to it. Okay, absolutely none. Have you ever have you ever looked at a
Is it
really?
actually
I keep
true?
trying to. I'm trying to reiterate this point, and I feel like how long have I been rambling? 11 minutes? Oh, that's not that long. I can ramble for way longer. I
Yes, you
I
can.
feel like I really need to like get this in people's heads. Like, you need to understand, because I know there are liberals who watch me as well. There are a lot of people who watch me who are on my side on this, who understand that this is fundamentally a war for survival against sort of
Killing your unborn is not a war for survival. I don't know how I have to say that. The unborn baby is defenseless. You are not fighting for your survival. You are fighting for your comfort. And that's what's sick and perverse about this, is these leftists are such spoiled and pampered champagne socialists that they have no idea that they feel that this entitlement to this comfort is what life is all about. No, 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 you piece of shit. Life is naturally so much more harder. Life is brutal, for fuck's sake. The idea that you could actually convince yourself that killing a defenseless and unborn child is, my God, mm, I need to breathe. I need to breathe because that was. I love these self-reports and the lack of humanity from the left to consider the privilege and ability of killing the unborn as something that is necessary, that you are entitled to. It is the biggest self-report I can think of thus far.
reprehensibly evil people who really don't have many political aims outside of causing suffering for others.
Really?
But there are people in my audience, I think, who seem to believe in, again, it's not all liberals, but it's a lot of liberals, and they believe in like the process. They believe, yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, we have different values, but they're not evil, you know. And I'm not saying every Republican voter is evil. I'm talking.
Now, I need to meet some of these people, these liberals who actually think that they need to go through a process. Again, I think Vaush is projecting virtue onto his audience that they know they haven't earned, but he's just going to give it to them, saying, "Oh, these people do exist, and I know you tried to reason and make sense of these conservatives. But let's be real, none of them have. None of them have made a damn effort. They haven't made an ounce of breaking free from their own perspective to actually consider what the conservative thinks." Dennis Prager said it best. A conservative can predict what the leftist is going to say, but leftists have absolutely no idea how conservatives actually think.
About the politicians here, the people who are really trying to put this through. I think a lot of the voters are evil.
Of course you
And
would.
I'm being very morally uncomplicated here, by the way. When I say evil, what I'm saying here
What
is
you're
that they're
saying here is don't look further. What you're saying here is stay ignorant of your perceived enemies so I don't have to actually combat anything they have to say. Don't go looking at what the conservatives actually are and what they do and what they represent. They're just evil. Take my word for it.
their moral values, the ways in which they arrive at their decisions, their priorities, all of that.
Okay, I apologize. My wife, Mrs. Carnal, just put the baby down, so we might wrap this up in just a quick minute, alright? Let's see what else Fashiku has got to say. Oh, of course. Of course. We have an ad. So, we'll see what he says when he gets back, and then we'll... No.
Which are, at least by any reason, but by my ethical system, monstrously negative.
Monstrously negative. I'm actually gonna let him explain that for a minute, if he bothers. If not, we're just gonna close this at about 12 minutes, 30 seconds.
And it's for that sake. It's not being done for anything else. There's no like utilitarian calculus being done where they're doing like brain math, and it's like, okay, we can make life worse for people in this respect, and they'll hate us for it. But the benefit we accrue, there used to be trade-offs for this sort of thing, right? I mean, not always, obviously. The entire history of how America has treated ethnic minorities is a pretty good example of hatred and malice for hatred and malice's sake. But at least when I think of what would like principled conservatism
Now,
be,
here's... Now, I know I cut him off right at the good part, but that's actually not... It's true from the governmental point of view. Andrew Jackson was terrible. And you have to actually go and read the execution of the Trail of Tears to understand that it was not that they had to relocate the natives. It was when the government stepped in and said, all right, you have to escort them, and we want all their guns. We want them disarmed. They were going peaceably. Shit didn't go wrong until the government got involved. The relationship between the people was actually not that bad, and it was not malicious. But let's hear him talk about principled conservatism.
Eisenhower? I don't know. Let me
Eisenhower?
try to think. Okay, let me
Holy
take something that's
shit.
just bad, but I want to draw a contrast to it.
Okay.
Okay?
I'm all ears.
I'll give you an example. All right. The Indian boarding schools to be an example, right? Part of the genocide that was
That was
committed.
in Canada, you piece of shit. That was Canadian. Why are you bringing Canada's bullshit? This is the point with like everything he says is off kilter. Everything. Let's see if this is even worthwhile.
Against Native Americans, not just here, but also here, where
Also,
there would be
citation bitch. I mean, there probably is a citation on some level, but that was Canada's problem? Again, if I'm wrong, go ahead and cite me, but other than that, I'm done with this. This is a load of garbage. Alright, everyone. Stay carnal, and God bless. Take care. Bye-bye.